Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to the third professional masterclass for the Gen AI Academy. And today we'll be talking about prompt design in Vertex AI. Before we start with the masterclass, I will just walk you through a little bit about the Gen AI Exchange program. I believe that you already know that the Gen AI Academy is the first phase of the Gen AI Exchange program, and the program is specifically designed to upskill the Indian developers in AI through comprehensive learning resources, hands-on projects, and expert guidance. So this entire program has two phases. The Gen AI Academy, where we offer free of cost AI courses on Google Cloud Skill Boost platform and virtual masterclasses such as this one with Google experts. And post July, we will be launching the Gen AI Exchange Hackathon. So you can build AI solutions and compete for prizes as part of the hackathon. We will communicate it to you once the hackathon goes live. Now, it's been around a month since this program launched, and we have over 2.3 lakh developers across the country already, and they have initiated their learning journey. So, this overwhelming response from developers across the country is truly inspiring, and it speaks so much about their eagerness to dive into the world of generative AI. So, under the Gen AI Academy, you get access to 5 AI courses on the Skill Boost platform, where you are required to buy credits to access these courses. But under this program, you get credits after signing up and submitting your correct and public link of Skill Boost profile, using which you can easily access these courses. I will talk a little more about the credits and points because I see a lot of comments already about it. So, we'll talk about that. Now, here is what this program basically entails. So there are 5 courses, like I mentioned, that you are getting access to for absolutely for free. And what you can do is each course that you complete, you get a skill badge, right? And once you complete all 5 courses, you get a certificate. So this is one thing that you can definitely showcase in your resume on LinkedIn, everywhere that you can, because it really holds a lot of value. So that is one thing. And as you go on doing these activities, as you go on as you continue your learning journey, you will also be part of a leaderboard. Now, what is this leaderboard all about? I'll come to that in just a second. But this leaderboard is your key to a lot of exclusive perks. So this leaderboard is your key to get access to Google's in-person events, get some merchandise, and so much more. So this is what it is in for you. And of course, I don't have to mention that you are learning from the best in the country. So these technologies are, the future, and we have people who are experts in these technologies here for you to give you the skills you need to keep up with the movement of AI. So, like I mentioned, there's a leaderboard, and for this leaderboard, here is what you have to do. We have basically gamified the entire process, right? And to be in the leaderboard, you get points. So every activity that you do, you will get certain amount of points. So the first point, like the first set of points that you get, are on course completion. Every course that you complete and you send us the skill badge, you will get 100 points. Once you attend the live classes, like this live masterclass, you will get 20 points. In case you're not able to attend the masterclass live, then you can also join, you can watch a recorded version also, which will give you 10 points. Then we have 30 points for posting a blog on Medium and 10 points for posting your badge on LinkedIn. Now I'll tell you how we'll keep track of these points. Just give me a second. I will share my screen and show you. Yeah. So this is the dashboard, right? This is the program dashboard. This is where every activity happens. Now here, this is the roadmap that's on screen. And here you can see each and every step, like every little thing that you have to do. It's a good way for you to see everything that you have to do. So like the first step that you have to do after registering is submit your skill boost public profile. And it's important to know that it must be public, otherwise we are not able to access it and we are not able to keep track of the points that you have to be given. So once you submit this skill boost profile, there is something that you have to do. You have to complete two courses, right? So these two courses are prompt design in Vertex AI and build real world AI applications with Gemini and Imagine. Once you complete these two courses, what you have to do is you have to go to the skill boost and skill badge submission tab. This is what it looks like. Here, you have to submit your skill boost profile and it has to be a public link. So here you can submit your skill boost public profile link. And right below this, you will see that there are two more things, which is the prompt design in Vertex AI. Here you have to submit your skill badge. So the same thing you have to do for build real world AI applications in Gemini and Imagine. Same thing, you have to enter your email ID and you have to give us your skill badge link. Once you do these three things, so the first is your link of the skill boost public profile. That is the very first thing that you have to submit. Once you submit that, you have to complete these two courses, and once you complete these two courses, you have to share the skill badge link on this dashboard. Only once you do this will you be able to get 100 credits, which are required to like complete the remaining three courses. So these credits are basically, you have to otherwise pay for these credits, but as part of this program, like I mentioned, you are getting these credits for free so that you can make the most of your experience here. Now for this, you have to do these three things: the link, and then your two skill badges link. So these three things you have to do. And I see some comments about credits. Just to clarify, it takes around 8 to 10 days for the credits to reach you. So once you do all of this, give it 8 to 10 days and then you'll get your credits for the next three courses. Now, once you receive your credits, you can start completing the remaining three courses. And on completion of each course, you will get the points and the skill badge. So you will only get the points once you submit your skill badge here again. So the first two courses, the prompt design one and the next one, which is build real world AI applications with Gemini and Imagine. When you complete these two courses and you give us the skill badge, it will help you in two ways. The first is that you will get the credits, like I mentioned. And the next thing that it will do is it will also give you the points. Each skill badge has, each course and each skill badge has 100 points. So when you finish these two courses and you submit the links to us, you will get the points also and you will get the credits also. The points will help you in the leaderboard and the credits will help you in taking the remaining courses. Now, after doing all of this, you can take your skill badge and you can post them on LinkedIn. So once you post on LinkedIn, you have to again submit the link to us under this tab, which is the social media submission tab. Here, you have to select the course that you they took. So if you completed prompt design in Vertex AI, for example, since that is the topic of today's session, if you completed prompt design in Vertex AI, you just select that, you enter your email. And if you have completed the course, you must have received a skill badge. If you post that skill badge on your LinkedIn, you can simply add the link here. And if you have posted a Medium blog here, so you can also add a link of that. You can also add submissions. So if you completed another course like build real world AI applications, then you can do the same thing for this. So this way you get like 40 points for like doing just social media posts. So every LinkedIn post and every Medium article has its own set of points, like I showed you. That is basically what you have to do to get the points. From this entire walkthrough, one of the most important things to keep in mind is that please don't get confused between points and credits. They are two completely separate things. the credits are used to take the next three courses. And the points are there for you to go up the leaderboard. And why is it important to go up the leaderboard? Because it gives you a lot of exclusive opportunities to, attend Google events like the IO Connect and so much more. So these are two very completely different things. Please don't get confused in them. And if you have any other further queries about the points or about the credits, then you can always reach out to us at GenAIExchangeSupport at hacktoskill.com. The email ID, I believe, is also in the comments. So you can do that. That is it for this walkthrough. Now, I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Shanti De. She's a customer engineer at Google Cloud. So, Shanti, thank you so much for being here. Over
Hey,
to you.
thanks, Ajmal. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Thanks for joining on a weekday. So, my name is Shayanti, and I'm a customer engineer at Google Cloud. So, today we are going to talk about prompt design in Vertex AI, how to create effective prompts, how to put guardrails on generative AI output, and we'll also look at some of the real world use cases that we deal with. If you have any questions, any thoughts, please feel free to drop it in the chat and we will take it at the end of the session. Let me share my screen quickly. Let me know once my screen is visible. Yeah, you all can see my screen? Yes, no? Okay, perfect. So before we jump into the specifics of prompt engineering, let's do a quick recap of the components and concepts we are going to deal with here, right? So, starting with generative AI, it's a buzzword, it's everywhere, but what does it mean? So, generative AI is nothing but a type of AI that is capable of generating new and original content, right? It can be in various formats, it can be text, it can be image, it can be code, video, and so on, right? So, two components, two most important component of the definition, generating and original and new content, right? Now, I'm sure you all have used it in some form or the other, maybe for writing an email, rephrasing a message, summarizing reports, or even generating new animated images, right? Or maybe something entirely unique. So, I'd love to know what are you most commonly using generative AI for. Let us know in the chat or the comments. I'd love to see, where we are going. Okay. So yeah, please feel free to add those in the comments. Now let's go to the main areas that we see, right? So if we look at the top areas of Gen AI implementation that we see today, it's across industries, be it retail, financial services, media, entertainment, healthcare, and so on. Gen AI is being used for creating product descriptions, creating reports, creating blogs, advertisements, images, as well as videos. Right, a number of organizations are using it to summarize and get insights from audio or video recordings. A very common use case that we see is analyzing support call recordings, for example, to identify the theme of the call, the sentiment of the customer, summary of the discussion, if there was any next steps that was discussed or not, right? So all of those insights they are using to get those insights from call or video recordings as well. Now, some are using Gen AI to even get insights from medical documents or financial reports, or even for understanding code content, right? It can be as simple as you write simple code, or you have found a code snippet from somewhere, you want to understand what this part of the code is doing. So that's where Gen AI can help you as well. Now, in Vertex AI, you would be able to find something called prompt gallery that I would show you in a bit, where you can see many such examples, right, with the prompts as well as the use cases. So, the scope of um, Gen AI and the application is it's huge, right? So let us go to the component of the Vertex AI. What is it actually, right? Now, you understood the concept of Gen AI. We are generating something. Now, how do we actually implement it, right? So that's where comes Vertex AI. It's a Google's end-to-end AI ML platform that combines data engineering, data science, and ML engineering workflows. It basically simplifies the entire machine learning lifecycle from the preparation of data to the deployment and monitoring of your models as well. I'll quickly walk you through the platform and explain the feature along the way. Okay. Are you able to see my GCP console, the Vertex AI platform? Yeah. Are you able to see? Okay, perfect. So here, if we look at the overall features that we have now in Vertex AI, we will have let's take into consideration three scenarios, right? Let's say you have your own model and your own data to train on. You just want the infrastructure, be it GPU, TPU, RAM, etc. You can use something called custom training, right? So if you see here, there would be options for training where you can specify, what type of training it is. So custom training is available. Now, there can be another scenario where, let's say, you have your own data but you don't know which model to use, right? So we also have something called AutoML that lets you train tabular, image, text, or video data without writing any code or preparing any data splits, right? That's where you would be able to see it here, right? Now the third part comes where you want to use the pre-trained AI models which are already available, right? That's where comes the model garden. So what Vertex AI offers this repository of around 200 plus models. This includes the GCP native models like Gemini, Imagine, and so on. It also includes third party and open source models like Anthropic, Meta, or Hugging Face, right? So you should see Vertex AI as a one stop solution for you when it comes to AI or ML, right? Now, here, another component that you will be able to see is the notebooks, right? Now, as part of your learning path for the skill badge, you will be working with the workbench as well. So, both Collab Enterprise and Workbench, they are notebook based development environments where you can use Python, Java, or whatever coding language you want to use the models, to call the SDKs, to use the APIs for running your prompts, right? Now, we also have something called Vertex AI Studio. It is for you to experiment with the models where you would be, let's say you want to write a prompt or you want to try different types of models, right? This is where you can play around with all of this, right? Now, how do we take the first step to like see how what all are the use cases and how do we see what all the prompts are there, right? So you remember I just talked about prompt gallery. So here you would be able to see a bunch of pre-existing prompts based on the common use cases that we see. So let's say you want to add an object to a photo, you want to build advertising campaigns, you want to do an audio summarization. So as you click on it, it will automatically add the prompt that is it is using, and you can simply test with different models, different parameters, and so on. Now let's come back to Gemini. So now you understood Vertex AI. We have Model Garden. Inside Model Garden, we have different type of pre-trained models. One of them is Gemini. Let me come here. Yeah. So now, what is Gemini? So Gemini is a family of multimodal generative AI models. That means it can process inputs in multiple formats. It can be text, it can be images, it can be PDF, audio, video, and so on. Gemini 2.0 Flash, it's the latest GA model, and 2.5 Flash and 2.5 Pro are currently in preview. So, as part of your labs, you will be using the 2.0 Flash model. So, how do we tell the model what are we looking for, right? That's where a prompt comes into picture. So, what is prompt engineering? Let's start from there. We are here to discuss specifically the prompt designing in Vertex. So, let's first understand what does prompt mean. What does it actually do at the background, right? So, a prompt is the input you supply to a model, which guides it to produce a specific output. That's the intent we have, right? Now, if I take an example of a large language model, they work by taking a string of text as input, that is your prompt, and predicting the tokens that should follow, right? So it will calculate the probability of different tokens in the vocabulary. Ultimately, it will select one based on the parameters that you have set and the prompt that you have given. So, for example, if I want my model to fill in the blanks for the cat is sitting on dash, right? Now, there will be multiple probable responses, right? It can be the cat is sitting on a tree, the cat is sitting on a mat, the cat is sitting on, let's say, a table, right? Now, based on whatever prompt you are giving and the previous text sequence that it is getting, it will see what is the probability score for each. Now, what is the highest probability score? So, let's say it is the table, right? So then it will generate the response with the that the cat is sitting on a table. So multiple probable options. It chooses that what would be the next token based on what is the most probable answer based on your context, based on your prompt you're giving. Now, there's a very important connection here to prompting, which is that when you write a prompt, you are attempting to basically set up the LLM to predict that right sequence of tokens, right? So now we understand what prompt engineering is. Now, how do we actually design it, right? So before running a prompt, first will come the structure of it. Now, it can be, not all of these components will always be required, but this is a standard structure to start with, right? So now let's take a look at the different components of it. So for this one, I have taken an example of a review classification use case, right? So basically, you are getting positive, negative, or neutral reviews, and I'm asking the model to identify those, right? So first, we should give some context to the model, right? So what do we mean by context? We, let's say it's a platform that we have, right? So I am telling the model that what is the scenario here. I'm saying this is a video platform where users can add short comments can be positive, neutral, negative, right? So how it would help is the model will understand the requirements better, right? Then we give some instruction, or we give the task. We specify clearly that what is it that the model needs to do, right? In this case, we are saying you need to classify. Sorry, just give me a sec. Sorry, I think I stopped this. Yeah, I think it should be visible now. Yeah. Okay. So when we are talking about tasks, we are clearly specifying that you need to classify the components as positive, negative, or neutral, right? Now the third part comes. which is called examples, right? The models can learn from your examples as well. So here I'm specifying that, if this is a comment, this video is awful, the review is negative, right? Then similarly, I'm giving example for neutral and positive as well. Now this is a very, basic prompt or use case we have, but as you will, move towards more complex as well, the examples would help the model learn better and learn faster, right? So you can also include, this examples as part of your prompt and Vertex AI console. I would show it to you, later in the slides and the session. So and finally, what you give is your input, right, that the model needs to give you a response form, right? So here I'm saying, this is my input. The comment is, I don't know what to think about the video, and the model is supposed to answer me what kind of review this is, right? Now this is how, generally we can approach it. There are multiple other components to it. We will go to that one by one, but this is a general structure that we can refer to, right? Now let's go to what type of prompts are there, right? So there are different kinds of prompts which are available, and you can use for your use cases. So first would be the zero shot prompts. What does it mean? When you are not giving any example or any context to the model, you are directly asking a question, right? Now let's say you want to know, you want to write a story, right, about a dog. So you are just asking the model, write a story about a dog in 500 words, where you're not giving any example that what should be the structure is, what is it for, are there any restrictions or not. So you're not specifying any of this. So this would be a zero shot prompt. Then we have one, few, or multi-shot prompts. This means that you are adding either one example or, few or multiple examples, and you're giving context that, what is it for, how the output should look like, what should the structure be of the output, and so on. Then we have the chain of thought prompts, right? So what you do here is you break down a complex task into multiple steps for a more accurate output. We'll see an example of this in the following slides as well, and I'll show you how, this helps with the reasoning of the model and ultimately, giving you a better response, right? And lastly, the zero shot COT, which is where you are directly asking a question to the model without giving any examples, but you're providing with certain reasoning steps, right? Now let's go to the breaking it down, right? Now let's say if you ask the model 5 questions together, right, without giving instruction that, what are the steps it should follow, or if there is a very complex task given, it might get confused, right? So what we can do is we can give the model some specific task to complete that complex task, right? So if you see here, for example, there are 3 toilet papers, right? Now I'm asking, when will I run out of toilet paper, right? Now the model is responding, soon, you only have 3 rows left, right? Now we are not specifying how to think about it, right? What all the things that the model should take into consideration before responding. Now the updated prompt. Now what we are doing, we are dividing this into 3 parts. So I'm saying, first you count how many toilet paper rolls are in this picture, right? Then determine how much toilet paper a typical person uses per day. And the third step, calculate how long these rolls of toilet paper will last, right? So now if you look at the improved response, first the model is, going through your first step, it is able to give a response, right? There are 3 rolls. Then I'm saying how much toilet paper a typical person uses per day. It is able to answer that as well, 20 sheets. Now when I'm asking calculate how long these will last, then it is able to calculate that, okay, each roll have 200 sheets, and it will last for about 10 days. Therefore, rolls will last for about a month, right? So now you see here how you are giving the models the tools or the steps for reasoning and thinking, right? So as you come across complex tasks, try to break them or split the task into smaller or more straightforward steps, so that there is no scope of assumption for the model to make, right? Now let's go to I'll first show you how it would look like in Vertex AI, right? Just give me a sec. Okay. So now we understood, how the structure usually looks, what all the components that should be there, that we should, give clear, concise instructions. If there are complex tasks, we break it down to different smaller steps, which are straightforward and more simpler. Now, how would it look like in Vertex? Now, there are multiple ways you would be actually interacting with the models, right? There would be APIs that you can use, which will come with, the SDKs which are available. Now, if I just show you from the Vertex AI Studio, first you would see a component called system instructions, right? So what these are a set of instructions that the model processes before it processes the prompt, right? So the recommendation is that you use system instructions to tell the model how you want it to behave and respond to prompts. So for example, if you want to define a persona, right, or if you want to add more context for the prompt, or defining output format that we discussed earlier, right? So you can use the system instructions here. So let's take one example from the prompt gallery itself. So let's say we want to do audio summarization. Just a sec. Okay, so these are first what I told you, right? Gemini would be the a multimodal model. So if you see here, you are able to add PDFs over here. You can upload images, you can upload videos or audios as part of your prompt, right? So now this is for document comparison, where they are uploading two documents and they want to compare that, how did the standard deduction evolve, right? So similarly, if I show you another one, let's say, okay, so now, okay, I'll just choose this one. Yeah. So if you look at the system instruction, right, it is giving the model some context. It's also giving the model some persona. So persona can be as simple as, let's say, if you want to create classification of documents, right? Whether the document is a report for report of type A, type B, type C, you can specify that persona in the system instruction. You can say that, you are a professional document classifier, for example. So those contexts you can give in the system instruction, right? Now here you would be adding your prompt, right? Now one really helpful feature that you will see here is help me write. Now the AI can help you even write the prompts for you, right? So you can simply, in natural language, you briefly share what the intent is, what are you actually looking for, what do you want the model to do. It will suggest a prompt for you, right? Then you would also be able to do a like you, when you will be doing, let's say, coding, if you're, assuming you would be using Python, Java, or Node.js or so on. So if I want to write the same, so let's say, sorry. Mhm. Okay, so now you see the build with code, right? Now, when you click on that, you can also get the code that you will be using as part of, it can be your notebook, or let's say you are using Jupyter as well. Now, how the calls should go, it will automatically show you those, right? So you can even choose if you want it in Python, Node.js, web, Flutter, and so on. So here you would be using the SDKs, the GenAI SDK. You would be, specifying what are the configuration in terms of, the parameters that, and I'll explain that to you. But if you see the prompt, right? So it will, when you will actually be calling the API, that's how it would look like. But you can simply generate this code as well, just by simply using Vertex AI Studio and checking the build with code. Now here, we are also able to see the controlled, this structured output, right? So what it means is, you can also specify the response schema. So let's say you have in mind a specific JSON schema that you want as the output, right? So let's say, one example, let's take, you want to do, you want to kind of extract some specific fields from a invoice, right? Now you want it in a specific JSON format. So here you can also specify what would be the response schema, right? You can specify your schema structure and so on. Then we would also have option here for the region, right? So as part of your lab, it is already specified which region you need to choose. But I'm just showing you, all these models, they are available in multiple regions. So as you choose a specific region, the uh, that particular regional endpoint comes into play, right? So now I will just talk about the parameters, right? So if we go to this advanced, you are able to see these fields called temperature, output token limit, top P, and so on, right? So what are these, right? So each call that you send to a model includes a parameter value that control how the model generates a response, right? Now, the model can generate different results for different parameter values. You should experiment with different parameter values to get the best values for the specific task that you have. These parameters are available in different models. The availability of this parameter might differ between the models. So let's say for 1.5 Pro, probably three parameters are available. For 2.0, there might be two, or so the numbers basically vary, right, based on the model. So now the most common parameters are these that you see here. So let's first start with the output token limit, right? So what this means? So this is the maximum number of tokens that can be generated in the response. So if you remember, we initially talked about generating the next token. That's how the LLMs work, right? It predicts what the next token should be. So as part of this prompt, so let's say for this specific prompt that you use, you're able to see that there it comes with a certain number of tokens, right? So when you are specifying a prompt, there are also functions available that can help you count this token. So in the this UI, you are already able to see it, but when you will be calling the API programmatically, there are also functions available to get the number of tokens that is going as part of the request, right? Now, A token is approximately 4 characters. So 100 tokens would correspond to roughly 60 to 80 words, right? Now, when you are specifying the maximum output token, you are mentioning that as part of the response for my prompt, it shouldn't go above this certain limit, right? That's what it would mean, right? Now there can be multiple use cases for this. If you want to uh, measure that, or you want to be very careful about the cost, or you want a shorter response as well. So in some of the cases it can be less or more based on that specific requirement. Now coming to temperature, right? Now temperature controls the degree of randomness in token selection. So basically, in simple words, the higher the temperature, that means the model can generate more random response, or it can be more creative response, better to say, right? So lower temperature are good for prompts that require a less open-ended or less creative response, right? If it is very specific, right? You don't want the model to, kind of be creative around your question or answer. Keep the temperature low. Now, with higher temperature, it can lead to more diverse or creative results. So, for higher temperature, let's say, for example, if you want to write a story, right, then you want the model to be as imaginative or as creative as possible. So in those cases the temperatures should be kept high. Now coming to the top p, right? Now this top p, it will change how the model selects tokens for output, right? So again, I'll explain that as well. So what this means, let's say there are uh, three probabilities, right? Now we have A, B, and C. Again, coming back to the same concept of generating next token and choosing the uh, choosing the best probable token from the options. So let's say there are A, B, and C tokens, right, which have a probability of 0.3, 0.2, and 0.1. Now, and you have, let's say, specified this top p value as zero point 0.5, right? So what the model will do is, since zero point 0.3, the first two, zero point 0.3 plus zero point 0.2 is zero point 0.5, so it will only select from either A or B, right? It won't consider C then, right? Uh, I mean, if you have any questions, I understand. Please feel free to, drop it in the chat. But basically, just if I just want to summarize, right, it will basically change or define how the model selects tokens for your output, right? Now, the suggestion or the recommendation is, if you should like specify a lower value for, again, less random responses, and a higher value for more random responses, right? That makes sense, right? Because if I am choosing it to be higher, so that means I'm considering, let's say I'm choosing a value of let's say zero point 0.6, right? Then I'm considering both A, B, and C option. But when I'm lessening this value, the options are also getting reduced, right? So that would be that is the concept of the parameters that we have. Now, apart from these, I'll just go back to the screen once, just a sec. Yeah, so I think we covered all three of these. So you should play around with these parameters, and these are configurations that will be as part of the this lab that you will be doing, and you can specify the values within the range, and you can play with it, what works the best for your specific requirements. Now, apart from these, there are also features like context caching, right? So you use context caching to reduce the cost of requests that contain repeat content with high input token counts, right? For example, if you need repetitive analysis for lengthy video files or recurring queries against large document sets, right? You can create a context cache. Now, the number of input tokens that are being cached, those are built at a reduced rate when it is included in the subsequent prompts. Right now, and as part of the same learning path, there are also, I think there's a part of a lab where you would be also dealing with context caching as well, and you will also come across something called function calling, right? So function calling basically allows the model to use external tools like APIs and functions, right? So for example, if a user wants to know how is the weather in Delhi today, right? Now the model won't have real time knowledge on that, right? Because these models you see, they would have a knowledge cutoff date. So after that, the knowledge becomes kind of stale, right? So how we still use this model to get the real time data for this case, right? So in that case, you can provide, let's say, a function called get weather, right? It will take a location parameter and return the information about the weather condition at that specific location, for our case Delhi, right? So similarly, if you want to know the exchange rates, right, which is again a real time thing that keeps changing, right? So in that case, the system can fetch the latest data from an external API and respond to the user with the answer, which will be done through the function call, right? So if I do a quick summary of what we have learned so far. First, give clear and specific instructions. We should add contextual information, include examples whenever applicable. If there is a complex task, break it down step by step. Give the model, reasoning or the steps that it should follow. We should use system instructions, which is to give the model some persona, any additional context, or even the output format you want to specify, which would be common for all the prompts you're sending, right? You can use system instructions over there. uh, you can instruct the model to explain its reasoning as well if you are getting, let's say, some hallucination, or you are not able to understand how the model is reaching a particular decision. You can ask simply the model, explain what reasoning is going behind it, or how are you reasoning this, right? And lastly, experiment with parameter values. It will, because there is not a specific number that works for all. It will depend on the task, the requirement you have. So I'd suggest experimenting with the parameter values and finding the best set for your use case. Right? Okay. So now let me quickly walk you through the path that you have. So I hope it's visible. Yeah. So as part of this path, it has 4 labs in total, and each lab contains a few tasks that you will need to complete, right? So the first one is the generative AI with Vertex AI prompt design. So the steps for the first 3 will be given. All the instructions are in place, step by step guide. Now once you click on start the lab, you will get some temporary credentials that you need to log in with. Now each lab will be available for the designated duration, after which the environment will be destroyed. Now once you complete all of these labs, you get the course badge as well, right? Now this 4 labs, if I go one by one, you would see it will cover all the components that we talked about. So first is using the Vertex AI workbench, right, that we saw in the Vertex AI console, which is a notebook environment where you will be using the Gemini API. You will be testing different prompts. You will be seeing how zero shot examples versus one or few or multiple shot examples, how the responses would differ in those cases. uh, it would also show you yeah, improve responses by including examples. The second one, it is for the Vertex AI Studio that we saw. It is for analyzing images with Gemini, where you will be, giving image which is already, the path will be mentioned here. You specify and you ask certain questions to the model, and it would show you the multimodal capabilities that we talked about, how to design these prompts, or how to add the context to get better results from the models. The third one is, again, it will be using the Vertex AI Workbench. Here you will be seeing the parameters that we talked about. So if you look here, yeah. So the system instructions we talk about, you can get a hands-on experience on that. It will also have the option for the generated, the controlled generation, right? Where you would be specifying the safety filters. You can specify how the output structure should be with the response schema and so on. You would be working with some parameters, the counting tokens, right? The count tokens method that we talked about, where you get a sense of what is the number of token you are sending as part of your prompt. So you will get a hands-on experience of all the things that we discussed so far, including function calling and context caching. And the fourth one is, it's a challenge lab. So it's more of a test of what you have understood so far. So here it give you the task specifically, and you will need to complete a few challenge scenarios. So that's how overall it would look like. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers. I think we will take the questions. That's all I had from my side. Okay, let's close my side. Yeah.
Yes. Um, so if you have any questions about the masterclass, you can ask them now. There's one question about context cache. I'm putting it up on screen. Can you explain if it's a feature in Vertex AI or not?
Okay, so it would be a feature of Gemini. So Vertex AI, so Vertex AI is a platform. Gemini is a model. Right now, you can use context caching on Gemini using Vertex AI.
Great, thank you. Um, there's another question that says, how are parameters changes affect the Gemini response?
Okay. So as I mentioned, right, the parameters are, it would, so as simple as, let's say, the output token, right? Now, if I decrease the number of maximum output token limit, my response would be shorter. Now, if I increase the number of my maximum output token limit, the answer can be bigger. I'm giving the model that scope to give me a longer answer. For temperature, if I am, I want a very specific answer, right? Let's say as simple as I want a math problem to be solved. I can't want the model to be creative around it, right? It's a very straightforward answer, a very straightforward reasoning it should follow. So in that case, I will keep my temperature low. But if I want to write a story, let's say, uh, about a girl who is going to school for the first time, as silly as that, right? So then we can actually increase the temperature, right? So that the model will be more creative around the responses. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Um, there's a question about the token. They're asking you to explain the token topic again.
Token. Okay. So, my question is, do you want to understand better how the token generation works, or you are talking about the counting of the tokens?
So while they clarify that, we can move on to the next
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
Um, Gaurav asks, how can we prevent the generating hallucination?
Okay. So the concept is, when you give the model more scope of making assumptions, then the model might, take certain reasoning into consideration that you don't want, and you will ultimately consider it as hallucination. Now, some best practices around that: you can, as part of your prompt, you can mention that, just stick to the instructions that we have mentioned in our prompt. Don't hallucinate, and don't give any responses just based on assumption, right? So just adding that particular instruction as part of your prompt would help. Then let's say, for example, if a question is like, tell me if it is good or bad, right? Like, classify it as good or bad. Now, the more specifications you give to the model, that what do you mean by good, right? Or what do you mean by bad? So let's say for good, you have three criterias. If a product is good, if it has this feature, right? Then we consider it as good. If one feature is missing, we consider it is okay. If three features are missing, we consider it as bad, right? So what you did is, you took a very vague concept of good or bad, and then you kind of quantified it, you kind of specified what does that actually mean, right? So in that case, the model won't have scope of assuming or hallucinating. So that's the short answer, but it's a really, I think, long topic. But I think this is a starting point that you can look at.
Great, thank you so much. Um, there's a question about the temperature parameter.
Okay, I think we already went over it, so I hope that answers your question.
Okay, Nisarg also has a question, and he is asking, Gemini 2.5 handles visual reasoning well but lags in OCR. Why not integrate OCR specific models like these, like
Okay.
Mistral does?
Okay. So, uh, again, we have actually seen very good results with even, OCR use cases. So even as part of the prompt gallery, right, if you go, there would be multiple examples where you are actually getting insights from invoices, or, medical documents, financial documents. So if you have any specific, use case that you're trying, we might need to look at the prompt, that what we are specifying, or what is the actually the output we are looking at. So for example, if you want the output in a specific JSON format, right? So I showed you something called the structured output, where you can actually specify your response schema. So that might help. But why not integrate these models? I I don't think that's up to me. But even in Model Garden, there are multiple models which are available that you can check out. But we have seen very good results with Gemini 2.5 as well as 2.4.
Thank you so much for that. We have a couple more questions.
Okay.
Saya is asking, can we get exactly what we intend when by changing top P and top K?
So, see, this is the output is not the result of only one component or two components, right? First, your, let's say, system instruction, the context is coming. Then you are giving the actual prompt as well. Then parameters are also coming, which is top P and top K, right? So these are contributing factors, but these alone won't guarantee you, the intended response. It would be a combination of multiple factors.
Let me see some other questions.
It's just, but it's so good to see that so many people are actually interested in Vertex and prompt engineering.
That's true. There are a lot more questions actually. I'm having to go through them to see which ones we can put on screen.
Sure.
There's a question that asks, how do tokens work and counting too?
Okay. So As I mentioned, right, what is the definition of token here is, so in GCP, when we are talking about token, it's basically one token is around 4 characters, right? So what it would mean is 100 tokens would be roughly like 60 to 80 words, right? So by token, uh, it is, you can think of it as a different version of characters, but yeah, like 100, like that is the math, that one token is approximately 4 characters. That's just a metrics that is being used.
There's a follow-up question about context cache.
Okay.
Putting it on the screen. Yes. If it works in this use case.
Okay, so let me check. So there are certain models that support context caching. Let me give you that as well. So context caching is supported by Gemini 2.5 Pro, 2.5 Flash, 2.0 Flash, and 2.0 Flash Lite currently. Yeah. So yeah, for even if you are using chatbot with extensive system instructions, you can consider context caching. That will save uh, cost.
Okay. There's a question about when do we use zero shot prompting, one shot prompting, and few shot prompting.
Okay. I think we went over it, but I'll just like briefly, tell you. So zero shot means you are not giving any example, right? So it is for when you have a very direct question where you don't actually require to give examples, right? So for example, if I want um, the model to, let's say, write a story without giving it any background, or without giving it any context, we can use zero shot over there. So another would be, let's say summarization, for example, right? Or translation would be a good example of that. So let's say I want, I'm speaking Hindi and I want it to translate to English, right? Now sometimes people would use direct prompts to just directly ask, just translate it to this particular language. Summarization, people use for zero shot prompting without giving any examples. Now one few and multi shot promptings, so it is when we are giving one or more examples, right? uh, so it is basically you are telling the model that, see, this is how it would look, this is how you get it right, this is how it would look like then, right? So for examples, let's say I'll take an example of, let's say, generating uh, ad taglines, right? So in that case, you can, let's say, you want it to be very minimalist as part of the response, right? So you can give this examples that, okay, if the query is that, let's say, create a or generate a tagline for a bottle, right? So you want to specify that, okay, how the output should look like. Do you, if you want it to be like very minimalist, if you want it to be long, you can give those as part of your examples, so that the model understands, what is the structure, what is the tone, or what is a kind of guardrail that you're looking for.
Okay. Alright, I think that is it about for the questions. There are some repeat questions and a lot of questions about the credits. So I repeat, if there are any questions about the credits or about the points, please write to us. And yeah, if there are any questions about the credits or point system, please write to us instead of commenting here, because we'll be able to get back to you only once you write to us. So please do that. And with that, I think we can end the session. Thank you so much, Shanti, for being here. And I can see that in the comments also, I can see that people are loving the session. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, everyone, for joining. Have a great evening. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.